Hey there, Night Wanderers. Welcome back to Sleepless Survivors. Tonight we're doing something a little different. No dramatic narration, no jump scares, just you, me, and the quiet darkness of feudal Japan. Before we begin, if you enjoy these slow, meditative journeys into history, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe if you want more nights like this, and drop a comment telling me where you are right now, what time it is, and whether you're trying to sleep or just existing in the quiet hours. Now get comfortable, dim your lights, maybe light a candle if you have one. Let the world outside fade away, because tonight we're not rushing through history, we're living it, slowly, deliberately. One careful breath at a time. Close your eyes if you want, or keep them half open, watching the screen like it's a window into another time. We're going back, way back, to a Japan you've never seen in anime or samurai films. A Japan of paper walls, rice paddies, and endless, endless darkness. Part 1. Twilight descends. The sun is setting over the village. You can see it through the gaps in the wooden slats of your small dwelling. Streaks of orange and deep purple bleeding across the sky like watercolour on wet paper. You're alone tonight. Your family's away, visiting relatives in the next village. It's just you, this small farmhouse, and the approaching darkness. The air smells like earth and wood smoke. Somewhere in the distance you can hear the faint clinking of a bell, probably tied to someone's ox returning from the fields. You're sitting on the tatami mat floor. The woven straw beneath you is worn smooth from years of use, cool against your legs even though the day was warm. Your hands rest on your knees. You're not doing anything in particular, just sitting, breathing, watching the light change. This is feudal Japan. Sometime in the Edo period, maybe the 1600s or 1700s. The exact year doesn't matter much when your life is measured by harvests and seasons rather than calendars and clocks. You are a farmer, not a samurai, not a merchant, just a farmer. One of the millions who work the land, pay their taxes in rice, and try to stay out of trouble. Your name is insignificant to history. No one will write songs about you or carve your deeds in stone. You're simply here, in this moment, as the day dies and the night is born. The house is small. One main room, maybe 8 tatami mats in total. The walls are made of wood and paper, shoji screens that slide open and closed. Right now, they're closed, creating a barrier between you and the outside world. But it's a thin barrier. You can hear everything. The rustle of leaves, the distant bark of a dog, the creak of bamboo swaying in the evening breeze. In the corner there's a small hearth, an irori sunken into the floor. No fire burns there now. You'll light it later when the cold really sets in. For now, the residual warmth of the day is enough. Your possessions are few. A sleeping futon, rolled up in the corner. A small wooden chest containing clothes, maybe 2 or 3 garments, all simple cotton or hemp. A few cooking utensils near the hearth. A water bucket by the door. That's about it. There are no books here. You cannot read. Literacy is a privilege reserved for samurai, monks, and wealthy merchants. Your education came from your father, who taught you which seeds to plant when, how to read the weather, and how to stay alive. On the wall, there's a small kamedana, a miniature shrine to the household gods. A tiny structure made of wood, with a few grains of rice and a cup of water placed before it as offerings. You offered prayers there this morning, asking for protection. You'll pray again tonight. The light continues to fade. The orange is gone now, replaced by deep violet. Soon it will be indigo, then black. You stand up slowly, your knees stiff from sitting. Crossing the room takes only a few steps. You slide open one of the shoji screens just a crack, peering outside. The village is settling in for the night. You can see other houses scattered across the landscape, their paper walls glowing faintly from the lanterns and fires within. Smoke rises from several roofs, thin columns ascending into the darkening sky. The rice paddies beyond the village are still. The water reflects the last traces of twilight like polished metal. Beyond the paddies, the forest looms, a dark mass of cryptomeria and bamboo that seems to grow denser as the light fades. You've been told since childhood not to go into that forest at night. Not because of bandits or wild animals, though those exist, but because of other things. Yokai, spirits, the restless dead who wander between worlds when darkness falls. You don't necessarily believe all the stories, but you don't disbelieve them either. In the countryside, superstition and reality are woven together so tightly that it's impossible to separate them. A breeze stirs cool against your face. You can smell rain coming, maybe tomorrow. The air has that heavy, expectant quality. You slide the screen closed again. Time to prepare for the night. The first task is water. You'll need it for cooking, for drinking, for washing your hands and face before sleep. The well is just outside, a short walk from the house. You pick up the wooden bucket near the door and slide it open. The hinges creak softly. A familiar sound, almost comforting in its predictability. Outside, the temperature has dropped noticeably. The warmth of the day is evaporating, rising up into the sky, leaving behind a chill that settles on your skin like dew. You step out onto the packed earth. No shoes. Your feet are bare, calloused from years of walking on soil and stone. The ground is cool but not cold. Not yet. The well is about 20 paces from the house, marked by a simple wooden frame and a pulley system. The rope is rough hemp, worn smooth in places from constant use. You lower the bucket slowly, listening to the creak of the pulley, the distant splash as it hits the water far below. The well is deep. It has to be, to reach the underground streams that run beneath the village. You wait, count to 3, then begin pulling the rope hand over hand, feeling the weight of the full bucket as it rises. The water, when it emerges, is clear and cold. You can barely see it in the fading light, but you can feel it sloshing against the sides of the bucket, hear the quiet lapping sounds. You set the bucket on the ground and pause, catching your breath. Not because you're tired, but because there's no need to rush. Where would you rush to? What would you do? The night is long. You have all the time in the world. Above you the first stars are appearing, tiny pinpricks of light in the deepening blue. You don't know their names or their patterns. That knowledge belongs to scholars and priests. But you know they're always there, watching, constant. A bat flickers past, barely visible, its wings cutting the air with soft whispers. Somewhere in the village, a baby cries. The sound carries clearly in the still evening air, then fades. You pick up the bucket and walk back to the house, moving carefully to avoid spilling. Water is precious. Every drop counts. Inside, you set the bucket near the hearth. Then you slide the door closed again, sealing yourself in. The darkness inside is nearly complete now. Time to make light. You kneel by the hearth and begin the process of building a fire. It's a ritual you've performed thousands of times, your hands moving almost automatically. First, you arrange the kindling, small twigs and dried grass gathered earlier and kept in a basket by the hearth. You pile them loosely, creating air pockets for the flames to breathe. Then you take out your fire-starting tools, a piece of flint, a steel striker, a small bundle of char cloth, fabric that's been burned until it's black and catches sparks easily. You strike the flint against the steel, once, twice, 3 times. On the 4th strike, a spark lands on the char cloth. It glows orange, a tiny ember no bigger than a grain of rice. You lift the cloth carefully as if it were a living thing and bring it close to your face. Blow gently. The ember brightens, spreads. You tuck it into the kindling and blow again, coaxing the fire to life. Smoke rises first, thin and acrid. You keep blowing, patient, steady. Then, a small flame, yellow and trembling but growing. You add more twigs. The flame catches, spreads, begins to crackle. Light blooms in the room, pushing back the darkness, casting flickering shadows on the paper walls. You sit back on your heels, watching the fire. This small flame is your companion for the night. It will keep you warm, cook your food, and hold the darkness at bay. But it also requires constant attention. Fire is a hungry thing. It needs to be fed, watched, never left alone. Let it die, and you'll be fumbling in the dark trying to start it again. Let it grow too large, and your paper walls could catch, your house could burn, everything you own could vanish in minutes. Balance. Always balance. You add a few larger pieces of wood, split logs you prepared yesterday. The fire accepts them, wrapping around the new fuel, growing stronger but not wild. Now there's enough light to see by. You stand and retrieve the oil lamp from its place on a small shelf. It's a simple clay vessel filled with vegetable oil, with a twisted wick protruding from the top. You light the wick from the fire and a second small flame joins the first. You carry the lamp to the alcove, the tokonoma, a slightly raised platform where important items are displayed. There's a scroll hanging there, though you cannot read the characters written on it. It was your grandfather's, passed down. The brushwork is elegant, the paper yellowed with age. It depicts mountains and mist, a tiny figure walking a path. You set the lamp beside the scroll. The flame reflects in the smooth wood of the alcove, doubling the light. The room is no longer dark. It's illuminated, filled with warm, wavering light that makes everything feel softer, more intimate. This is your world now. This small room, this fire, this lamp, this moment. Outside, the night is falling completely, but inside, you're safe. For now. Part 2. The evening meal. Hunger arrives quietly. A gentle hollowness in your stomach that's been there since afternoon but only now demands attention. Time to eat. Your evening meal will be simple, it always is. Rice, perhaps some miso soup if you have the ingredients, maybe a pickled vegetable or two. That's it. No meat. Meat is a luxury you can't afford. No elaborate dishes, just enough to fill your belly and give you strength for tomorrow's work. You begin by measuring out rice from the large ceramic jar in the corner. The jar is half empty. It will need to be refilled after the next harvest, assuming the harvest is good. If it's not, well, that's a worry for another time. You scoop rice into a small wooden bowl. 2 cups, maybe 3. Enough for one meal. The grains are short and white, polished but not perfectly so. You can see a few brown flecks, remnants of the hull that weren't completely removed. You carry the rice to a larger pot near the hearth, add water from the bucket and begin rinsing. The water turns cloudy as the surface starch washes away. You drain it, add fresh water, rinse again. 3 times until the water runs mostly clear. Then you set the pot directly on the fire, adjusting the logs beneath to create an even heat. Now you wait. Cooking rice is a meditation. You can't rush it. You can't force it. You simply have to let it happen, checking occasionally, listening for the sound of boiling water, the subtle shift in smell when the grains begin to soften. While the rice cooks, you prepare the rest of the meal. There's a small piece of dried fish hanging from a rafter, a gift from a neighbour last week. You take it down, examine it in the lamplight. It's hard as leather, preserved with salt, the flesh dark and fibrous. You'll need to soak it a bit to make it edible. You place it in a bowl of water and set it aside. Next, you retrieve a daikon radish from the storage basket. It's white and firm, cool to the touch. You wash it with a little water from the bucket, then begin slicing it with your knife. A simple iron blade, slightly rusted but still sharp enough. The radish falls apart under the blade in thin, translucent circles. You pile them in a small dish, then reach for the jar of miso paste. Miso is one of the few flavours in your life. Salty, fermented, rich with umami. You scoop out a spoonful and add it to a smaller pot with water, stirring until it dissolves. Then you add the radish slices and set the pot near the fire to heat. The room begins to fill with the smell of cooking. Earthy, warm, faintly sweet. It's not a grand aroma. It won't make your mouth water the way roasted meat might, but it's familiar, comforting. You check the rice. It's boiling now, the water bubbling around the grains. You reduce the heat slightly by shifting the pot to the edge of the fire, then cover it with a wooden lid. Everything is in motion now. The fire crackling, the soup simmering, the rice steaming, and you, sitting cross-legged on the tatami, waiting. This is the rhythm of survival. Not dramatic, not exciting, just steady. One task after another, each one necessary, each one performed with care. While you wait, your mind wanders. You think about the rice paddies. Tomorrow you'll need to check the irrigation channels. One of them was getting clogged last time you looked. Leaves and mud building up, blocking the flow. If you don't clear it, part of the field won't get enough water. If the rice doesn't get enough water, the yield will be lower. If the yield is lower, the tax collector will still take his share, leaving you with less. Everything is connected. Everything matters. You think about your family, your wife and children, travelling to see her relatives. You wonder if they arrived safely. The road between villages isn't long, but it's not entirely safe either. Bandits are rare, but they exist. And there are other dangers. Wild boars, sudden storms, accidents. But worrying won't help them. They'll be back in a few days. Until then, you're alone. Alone with the fire, alone with your thoughts, alone with the night. You realise you haven't spoken aloud all day, not since your family left this morning. There's been no need, no one to talk to. This silence has become so complete that you've almost forgotten what your own voice sounds like. You clear your throat experimentally. The sound is startling in the quiet room. "Rice is almost ready," you say aloud, just to hear words. Your voice sounds strange, flat, small. It doesn't echo. The tatami and paper walls absorb sound rather than reflecting it. It's as if the words disappear the moment they leave your mouth. You don't speak again. The rice is ready now. You can tell by the smell, no longer wet and starchy, but fragrant and full. You lift the lid carefully, releasing a cloud of steam that rises toward the ceiling and dissipates. The grains are perfect. Tender but not mushy, each one distinct. You use a wooden paddle to scoop the rice into your bowl, pressing it down gently. The soup is also ready. You ladle it into a small wooden bowl, careful not to spill. The dried fish, now softened slightly in its water bath, you place on a separate dish. Your meal is complete. You arrange everything in front of you: rice bowl, soup bowl, fish, a small dish of pickled radish from last week's batch. Everything is simple, minimal, but arranged with care. Before eating, you press your palms together and bow your head slightly. "Itadakimasu," you whisper. "I humbly receive." It's a prayer of gratitude, not to any specific god, but to the rice, the water, the fire, the earth, to the cycle that allows you to live another day. Then you eat. The rice is warm and slightly sticky. You bring it to your mouth with chopsticks, taking small bites, chewing slowly. There's no flavour beyond the natural sweetness of the rice itself, but that's enough. The soup is hot, almost too hot. You blow on it gently before sipping. The miso flavour blooms on your tongue, salty, complex, grounding. The radish has softened in the broth, becoming tender and mild. The fish is chewy, intensely salty. You nibble at it between bites of rice, letting the salt cut through the blandness. You eat slowly. There's no reason to rush. No one is waiting for you. No tasks demand your immediate attention. This is the evening meal, a few minutes of peace, a moment to nourish the body before the long night ahead. As you eat, you become aware of the sounds around you. The fire crackling, the wind outside picking up slightly, making the paper walls shudder, a cricket chirping somewhere, probably under the floorboards. Its song is rhythmic, steady, almost hypnotic. The lamp flame flickers. The shadows on the walls shift and dance. You finish the rice, scraping the last grains from the bowl with your chopsticks. You drink the soup down to the last drop, then eat the radish pickles. Their sour-sweet crunch a pleasant contrast to the softness of everything else. When you're done, you set the bowls aside. Your stomach is full. Not stuffed, but satisfied. You press your palms together again. "Gochi susama deshita," you murmur. Thank you for the meal. Another small ritual. Another moment of gratitude. Then you begin cleaning up. You carry the bowls to the water bucket and rinse them, using a small cloth to scrub away any residue. The water turns slightly cloudy with rice starch and miso. You'll throw this water outside later, onto the garden. Nothing is wasted. The bowls you set aside to dry, the pot you wipe clean and return to its place by the hearth. The fire has died down a bit. You add another log, watching as the flames lick, at the new wood, slowly embracing it. Outside, full darkness has arrived. If you open the door now, you'd see nothing but black. No moon tonight, or if there is one, it's hidden behind clouds. The village has gone quiet. No more sounds of children playing or adults calling to each other. Everyone is inside now, behind their own thin walls, gathered around their own fires. You are alone, but so is everyone else. This is the reality of rural life in feudal Japan. Isolation is the default. Community exists, yes, but it's not constant. Most of life is spent in small enclosed spaces with only family for company. And when family is gone, as yours is now, the isolation becomes absolute. But you don't mind. You've lived this way your entire life. Solitude is not loneliness. It's simply quiet. You return to your spot by the fire and sit down again, cross-legged, hands resting on your knees. The night is still young. It's probably only the hour of the dog, around 8 o'clock by modern reckoning. You have many hours before sleep. What do you do with those hours? Nothing and everything. You simply exist. In this moment. In this space. Waiting for nothing. expecting nothing, just being. Part 3. The darkness deepens. The fire is your anchor. As long as it burns, you have light, warmth, a focal point for your attention. You watch the flames, not thinking about anything in particular, just watching. Fire is hypnotic. The way it moves, constantly shifting but always returning to the same basic shape. The way it consumes wood, breaking down solid matter into heat and light and ash. Your ancestors worshipped fire, or respected it at least, recognized it as a force both creative and destructive, life-giving and deadly. You understand that instinctively. You've lived with fire every day of your life. You know how to control it, how to read it, how to sense when it's content and when it's hungry. Right now, it's content, burning steadily, not too hot, not too weak, just right. You add another small log, not because it needs it yet, but because you want to maintain this balance. Prevention is easier than correction. The log catches quickly, becoming part of the larger flame. You settle back, pulling your cotton robe tighter around your shoulders. The temperature is dropping noticeably now. The warmth of the day is gone completely, replaced by the cool of night. In winter, this would be unbearable. The thin walls provide almost no insulation. You'd be huddled as close to the fire as possible, wrapped in every scrap of fabric you own, your breath visible in the air. But it's not winter yet. It's autumn. The cold is manageable. You can hear the wind now, more clearly than before. It's moving through the village, rattling doors, making the bamboo groves creak and sigh. In the forest, the wind will be different, louder, wilder. The trees will be swaying, their branches rubbing together, creating sounds that could be mistaken for voices, for footsteps, for things that should not be. You're glad you're not in the forest. Your mind begins to drift, not sleeping but not fully alert either. A kind of meditative state, where thoughts arise and pass like clouds. You think about your father. He died 3 years ago during a harsh winter. A fever took him, quickly and without mercy. One day he was coughing. 3 days later, he was gone. You remember sitting by his bedside in this very room, watching him struggle to breathe, unable to help. There was no doctor. The nearest physician lived in the castle town hours away, and only treated samurai and wealthy merchants. For people like your father, like you, illness was simply endured. Either you recovered, or you didn't. He didn't. You buried him in the village cemetery, a small plot on a hill overlooking the rice paddies. You visit his grave sometimes, leaving offerings of rice and water, pulling weeds that grow around the stone marker. You wonder if he's at peace, if the rituals you performed were enough to guide his spirit to the next world, or if he's still here, somehow, watching over the house. The thought doesn't frighten you. If he is here, he means no harm. He's family. It's the unknown spirits you worry about, the hungry ghosts, the yokai that feed on fear and suffering. But you push those thoughts away. Fear invites fear. Better to focus on the fire, on the present moment, on the simple fact of being alive. A sound outside, faint but distinct. Footsteps. You freeze, listening. There it is again. Soft, deliberate. Something, or someone, is walking near your house. Your heart rate increases slightly, though you remain still. You don't panic. Panic is useless. You listen. The footsteps are light, not heavy boots. Maybe bare feet, like yours. Or paws. Probably an animal. A fox, maybe. Or a tanuki. A raccoon dog. Both are common in the countryside, and both are active at night. The footsteps circle around the side of the house, then stop. Silence. You wait, barely breathing. Then, a scratching sound. Something is moving against the wooden wall, just on the other side of the shoji screen. Scratching, sniffing. Definitely an animal. You relax slightly. Animals are no threat. They're looking for food, probably. Drawn by the smell of your cooking. But there's another possibility, one you can't quite dismiss. Foxes are shapeshifters, according to legend. They can take human form, trick travellers, lead people astray. A fox scratching at your door might not be a fox at all. You shake your head slightly, annoyed at yourself. These are old stories meant to scare children. You're a grown adult. You know the difference between reality and superstition. Probably. The scratching stops. The footsteps resume, moving away from the house, fading into the distance. You exhale slowly, releasing tension you didn't realize you were holding. just an animal. Nothing more. But you get up and check the door anyway, making sure it's firmly closed, the simple wooden latch secure. Better safe than sorry. You return to the fire and sit down again, but now you're more alert. The peaceful, meditative state is gone, replaced by a low-level wariness. This is the nature of night in feudal Japan. The darkness brings uncertainty. Every sound becomes a potential threat. Every shadow could be hiding something. You're not paranoid, you're practical. The world is dangerous. Not overwhelmingly so, but enough that caution is warranted. You've heard stories, everyone has. Stories of travellers attacked by bandits on lonely roads, of women kidnapped by raiders from rival villages, of entire families murdered in their sleep by masterless samurai, ronin, who have nothing to lose and no code to restrain them. These things happen. Not often, but often enough that everyone knows someone who knows someone it happened to. And then there are the other stories, the ones whispered around fires, late at night, when the sack has loosened tongues. Stories of ghosts, of vengeful spirits who died violently and cannot rest, of demons who wear human faces, of creatures that live in the spaces between civilization and wilderness, waiting for the unwary. You don't know how much of it to believe. Some of it must be exaggeration, some of it must be imagination, fear given form, but some of it? Well, some of it might be true. The hours pass slowly. You feed the fire, you check the lamp, adding more oil when the level gets low. You shift positions occasionally, stretching your legs to keep them from cramping. You listen to the wind, to the crickets still chirping under the floorboards, to the settling sounds of the house, wood expanding and contracting as temperatures change, paper walls rustling, the roof creaking. Every sound is familiar, and yet every sound requires a moment of identification. Is that the wind, or something moving? Is that the house settling, or footsteps on the roof? You're not frightened, but you're aware. Awareness is survival. At some point, you're not sure exactly when, you hear singing, faint, distant. A woman's voice, high and clear, carrying through the night air. You tilt your head, listening more carefully. It's coming from the direction of the forest. The melody is strange, not like any folk song you recognise. It rises and falls in unexpected intervals, almost hypnotic. The hair on the back of your neck prickles slightly. Women don't walk alone in the forest at night. No one does. You consider going to the door, looking out, but something stops you. Instinct, maybe. Or wisdom learned from all those stories. If you see something you shouldn't see, you can't unsee it. Better to stay inside, stay by the fire, pretend you heard nothing. The singing continues for a while. How long, you're not sure. Time feels strange, elastic. Then it fades, either moving away or simply stopping. Silence returns. You stare at the fire, willing your heartbeat to slow. It was nothing. Just your imagination, probably. Or a real woman, walking somewhere for reasons you don't know and don't need to know. Not everything is supernatural. Not everything is a threat. You repeat this to yourself a few times until you almost believe it. Part 4, the middle night. The hour of the rat has arrived. Midnight, though you have no clock to confirm it. You judge time by the fire, by your body's internal rhythms, by the quality of the silence outside. This is the deepest part of the night. The hour when even the crickets sometimes stop chirping, when the world holds its breath. You're tired but not sleepy. There's a difference. Your body is fatigued from the day's work, but your mind is alert, humming with low-level vigilance. You could sleep now. You could unroll your futon, lie down, close your eyes. But something keeps you awake. Not fear. Not exactly. More like respect. Respect for the night, for its power, for the fact that you are small and vulnerable and alone. Sleep will come eventually, but not yet. You decide to perform your evening ablutions. Even though you're alone, even though no one will see you, you maintain the rituals. They give structure to the formless hours. You stand and walk to the water bucket. Using a small wooden ladle, you scoop water and pour it over your hands, scrubbing them together. The water is cold now, almost painfully so. You wash your face, gasping slightly at the shock of it. Then you wet a cloth and wipe down your arms, your neck, behind your ears. Not a bath. Bathing requires heating large amounts of water, a process too time-consuming for a single evening, but enough to feel clean. You dry yourself with a separate cloth, then change your cotton robe for a sleeping robe. Similar, but slightly heavier, more layers. These small actions are comforting. Routine in the midst of uncertainty. You return to the fire and begin banking it for the night. You don't want it to burn out completely. Starting a fire from scratch in the middle of the night is difficult and wasteful. But you also don't want it too large, consuming fuel unnecessarily. You push the burning logs together, creating a compact pile. Then you cover them partially with ash, starving them of oxygen just enough to slow the burn without extinguishing it. If you do this correctly, the coals will stay hot until morning, when you can blow them back to life and add fresh wood. It's an art, this management of fire, one you've practiced your entire life. The room becomes noticeably darker as the flames die down to a dull glow. The lamp is still burning, but its light is weak, creating more shadows than illumination. You could extinguish the lamp, save the oil. But something makes you want to keep it lit. A small defiance against the darkness. You unroll your futon in the centre of the room, away from the walls. If something were to break through a wall, an animal, a person, something else, you'd have a moment's warning, a chance to react. The futon is thin, barely padded. It's filled with cotton and straw, compressed from years of use. It's not comfortable by modern standards, but it's what you have. You lie down on your back, pulling a thin quilt over yourself. The ceiling is invisible in the darkness above you, but you know every beam, every knot in the wood. You close your eyes, try to relax, but sleep doesn't come. Your mind is too active, cycling through the day's events, tomorrow's tasks, half-remembered worries and formless anxieties. You think about the tax collector due to visit in a few weeks, about whether this year's harvest will be enough, about your daughter's persistent cough. Probably nothing serious, but you can't be sure. You think about the singing you heard earlier, about the scratching at the walls. You tell yourself again that it was nothing. You almost believe it. Time passes. How much, you're not sure. Without the sun, without clocks, time becomes fluid. It could be an hour, it could be 5 minutes. You're in that strange state between waking and sleeping, not quite dreaming, but not fully conscious either. Images drift through your mind. The rice paddies at sunrise, your father's face, the forest in winter, branches heavy with snow, and then a sound. Footsteps. Your eyes snap open. These aren't animal footsteps. These are human, deliberate, measured, walking slowly around the perimeter of your house. You don't move, don't breathe, just listen. The footsteps are light but clear, bare feet on packed earth, circling, stopping occasionally as if the walker is examining your house, considering. Your heart is pounding now. You can feel it in your chest, in your throat. This could be a neighbour, someone checking on you, making sure you're safe while your family's away. But why would they walk around the house without calling out? Why not knock on the door? The footsteps stop directly outside the door. Silence. You wait. The seconds stretch impossibly long. Then, a knock. Soft but distinct. Tap, tap, tap. Someone is knocking on your door. At midnight, in feudal Japan, when you're alone. Every instinct screams at you not to answer. In all the stories, answering the door at night leads to trouble. It's how demons gain entry, how ghosts are invited in, how the boundary between the living world and the spirit world is breached. You remain perfectly still, barely breathing. The knock comes again. Tap, tap, tap. Then a voice. "Excuse me. I'm sorry to disturb you. I'm lost. Please, could you help me?" It's a woman's voice. Young, frightened. Your first instinct is to help. You're not a cruel person. If someone is genuinely lost, genuinely in need. But women don't travel alone at night. Everyone knows this. It's not safe. It's not proper. Which means either this is an exceptional circumstance, an emergency perhaps, or it's not what it seems. The voice comes again, more pleading now. "Please, I'm cold. I've been walking for hours. Just let me warm myself by your fire. I won't stay long." You close your eyes, forcing yourself to think clearly. If this is a real person, a real woman in distress, ignoring her could lead to her death. She could freeze, get attacked by wild animals, or stumble into the forest and never find her way out. But if this is not a real person, If this is something else wearing the shape of a woman, using the voice of desperation, then opening your door could be inviting something far worse inside. The stories are full of such tricks. Kitsune, fox spirits, who take the form of beautiful women to lure men to their doom. Yuki onna, snow women, who appear as travellers in distress, only to freeze the hearts of those who help them. Ghosts of murdered women who seek to drag the living into their own torment. You've heard these stories since childhood. Are they true? You don't know. But the fact that they exist, that they've been passed down for generations, suggests that someone, somewhere, learned these lessons the hard way. The knocking comes again, louder this time, more insistent. Tap, 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 tap. Please, the voice says, and now there's an edge to it. Not quite pleading anymore. Something else. I know you're in there. I can see the light. Just open the door. Your blood runs cold. How can she see the light? Your shutters are closed. The shoji screens are opaque, unless she's pressing her face right against the paper, peering through a tiny tear. The image makes your skin crawl. You remain silent, motionless. The knocking stops. For a long moment there's nothing. No sound, no movement. You begin to think maybe she's left. Maybe she's moved on to another house, or back to the road, or wherever she came from. Then you hear it. Scratching. Not at the door. At one of the shoji screens, the one to your left. Slow, deliberate. The sound of fingernails dragging across paper. Your heart is racing so fast you feel dizzy. The scratching continues, tracing a line across the screen. Back and forth. Back and forth. Testing the barrier, probing for weakness. You know these screens are fragile. A determined person could punch through them with ease. The paper would tear like rice paper, which, essentially, it is. The only thing protecting you is convention. The social contract that says these walls mark the boundary between inside and outside, between private and public, between safe and dangerous. But if whatever is outside doesn't respect that contract, the scratching stops. Then, a tearing sound. Small, deliberate. Something is making a hole in your wall. You can't just lie here anymore. Moving as quietly as possible, you sit up. Your hand reaches instinctively for the only weapon you have. A short bamboo stick used for tending the fire. It's not much. Against a human attacker it would be nearly useless. Against something supernatural. But it's better than nothing. You stand, positioning yourself between the futon and the door, trying to see in the dim lamplight. The hole in the shoji screen is small, maybe the size of a coin. Through it you can see darkness, nothing else. But you have the distinct impression that something is looking back. "Why won't you let me in?" the voice asks, and now it's different. Flatter, less human. It's cold out here. So cold. You find your voice, though it comes out hoarse. I cannot. I'm sorry. It wouldn't be proper. I'm alone. You should go to another house. One where there are families. They can help you. Silence. Then a laugh. Soft, breathy, wrong. But I don't want to go to another house. I want to come into yours. The hole in the screen begins to widen. Not torn violently, but methodically, as if fingers are carefully peeling the paper away, enlarging the opening. You grip your bamboo stick tighter, knowing how inadequate it is. "Stop," you say, louder now. "You're not welcome here. Leave. Now." The tearing stops. Through the hole, you see movement. A pale shape. An eye, perhaps. Or something like an eye. "Not welcome?" the voice asks, and now it sounds genuinely confused. "But you're alone. Don't you want company? Aren't you lonely?" "No," you say firmly, though your voice shakes. "I'm not lonely, and you need to leave." A pause, then, "Very well. But you'll regret this. Cold nights are long, and you'll have many more of them. Alone. Always alone." The presence withdraws. You sense rather than see it moving away. The footsteps resume, walking around the house once more. Then fading, growing distant, gone. You stand there for a long time, stick in hand, listening to the silence. Is it really gone, or is it just waiting? Testing to see if you'll relax, if you'll lower your guard. You don't know. Minutes pass. Your arms begin to ache from holding the stick so tightly. Finally, you set it down and move to the damaged shoji screen. In the lamplight, you examine the hole. It's ragged, deliberately torn, about the size of your palm now. You have nothing to repair it with tonight. No paper, No paste. It will have to wait until morning. You take a spare cloth from your supplies and pin it over the hole using a wooden splinter pressed into the frame. It's not a perfect seal, but it's something. A symbolic barrier, if nothing else. Then you return to your futon. You don't lie down. Instead, you sit cross-legged, stick across your lap facing the door. You will not sleep tonight. Not until dawn comes. Part 5. Vigil until dawn. The hours that follow are the longest of your life. You sit, you watch, you listen. The lamp burns steadily, its small flame at anchor in the darkness. The banked fire glows dully in the hearth, occasionally sending up a small shower of sparks as a log shifts. Your mind cycles through the encounter again and again, analysing every detail. Was it real? Was it human? The rational part of your mind says yes. Of course it was human. A woman, travelling for some reason you don't understand, who became frustrated when you wouldn't help her, but the rational part of your mind is small, drowned out by instinct, by inherited fear, by the accumulated wisdom of generations who learn to be suspicious of the night. Because humans don't tear through shoji screens. They knock, they call out, they leave when told to leave. Whatever was outside didn't behave like a human. It behaved like something pretending to be human. Something that understood the forms and words but not the deeper substance. You shudder, pulling your sleeping robe tighter. The wind has picked up outside. You can hear it moaning through the eaves of the house, rattling the shutters, making the whole structure creak and sway. Bamboo clatters in the distance. The sound of the grove at the edge of the village, its stalks knocking together like wooden wind chimes. These are normal sounds, natural sounds. But tonight, they all seem ominous. Every creak could be a footstep. Every rattle could be someone trying to force their way in. You force yourself to breathe slowly, deeply. Fear is natural, but panic is dangerous. You are inside. The walls are intact, mostly. The door is barred. You have fire. You have light. You are as safe as you can be. That has to be enough. To keep your mind occupied, you begin reciting Buddhist sutras in your head. Not because you're particularly religious. Most farmers have a practical, superstitious relationship with religion, rather than a devout one, but because the familiar words are comforting. The Heart Sutra, the one everyone knows, even if they don't fully understand it. Kanji Zai Bosatsu, Gyujin Hanya Haramitaji. The syllables flow through your mind like water, smooth and cool. They've been recited millions of times by millions of people across centuries. There's power in that, the power of repetition, of continuity. Your grandfather taught you these words, his grandfather taught him, and back through generations, all the way to the monks who first brought Buddhism to Japan from China and Korea. You are part of that chain, connected to something larger than yourself. The thought is comforting. Time continues its slow crawl forward. The lamp oil is getting low. You'll need to refill it soon if you want to maintain the light. You stand, careful not to make too much noise, and retrieve the oil jar. Your movements are slow, deliberate, every action considered. You pour more oil into the lamp, watching the level rise. The flame gutters briefly as the new oil floods in, then steadies. While you're up, you check the fire. The coals are still hot, glowing orange in the ash. You add a few small pieces of kindling, coaxing them into flame, then a larger log. The fire comes back to life, crackling and snapping. Light blooms in the room again. It feels like a small victory. You return to your sitting position, stick across your lap. Wait. Somewhere in the village a dog barks. Once, twice, then stops. You listen for follow-up, more barking, sounds of commotion, but nothing comes. Just that brief alarm, then silence. Again. Dogs bark at many things. Foxes, badgers, strangers passing through, their own shadows. It doesn't have to mean anything, but you noted it, filed it away. Another piece of the night's puzzle. Your thoughts drift to your family again. You wonder if they're sleeping now, safe in your wife's family home. Her parents' house is larger than yours, with more people. Her brothers and their families all live there together. It must be warm there, noisy, full of life. You miss that warmth. Not desperately. You're comfortable with solitude, but you notice its absence. When they return, you'll have to tell them about tonight. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just repair the screen and say nothing. What would you tell them anyway? That someone, or something knocked on the door and you didn't answer, that you were frightened by a voice in the dark. It sounds foolish in the abstract, cowardly even, but you know you made the right choice. Every instinct confirms it. Better to seem foolish to your family than to have opened that door and discovered what was really on the other side. The cricket under the floorboards has stopped singing. You're not sure when it stopped. Sometime in the last hour, perhaps. The silence it leaves behind is noticeable. That steady chirping had been a constant background noise, and now it's gone. Did it simply finish its song? Or did it sense something? Danger? Animals know things humans don't, or have forgotten. They sense earthquakes before they happen, smell storms coming before clouds appear, feel presences that eyes cannot see. If the cricket has gone silent, maybe it knows something you don't. Or maybe you're reading too much into it. Hard to tell the difference between intuition and paranoia when you're alone in the dark. You realise your shoulders are tense, hunched up near your ears. Your jaw is clenched. Deliberately you relax. Roll your shoulders back. Stretch your neck. Tension is exhausting. You can't maintain this level of vigilance all night without wearing yourself out. You need to find a balance. Alert but not rigid. Watchful but not panicked. You take several deep breaths, feeling your heart rate slow slightly. This is just another night. Unusual, yes. Unsettling, certainly. But just another night. Dawn will come, it always does. You just have to survive until then. Part 6. The hour before. Dawn. The darkest part of the night is passing. You can't see it yet. The sky's still black beyond your walls, but you can feel it. Some internal clock calibrated by years of rising before sunrise tells you that dawn is approaching. The hour of the ox, maybe 3 or 4 in the morning. Not much longer now. Your body aches from sitting in the same position for hours. Your legs are numb, your back is stiff, but you don't move. Movement feels dangerous somehow. As long as you stay still, stay quiet, you're invisible. Part of the house, part of the furniture. Safe. The fire is dying again. You need to tend it, but you're reluctant to move. Finally, you force yourself to stand. Your legs protest, pins and needles shooting through your feet as blood flow returns. You hobble to the hearth and add more wood, stirring the coals with a long stick. The fire accepts the new fuel gratefully, flames curling around the fresh logs. The warmth feels good. You hold your hands out, letting the heat soak into your cold fingers. Outside, the wind has died down. The sudden absence of sound is almost shocking. For hours, the wind has been a constant presence, howling, rattling, buffeting the house. Now it's simply gone. The silence that follows is profound, absolute. You can hear your own breathing, the crackle of the fire, nothing else. It's the kind of silence that makes you aware of how thin the barrier is between you and the outside world, how fragile your shelter is, how vulnerable you are. But it's also peaceful in a way. The night is winding down, whatever prowls in darkness is retreating. Soon the sun will rise, and with it the illusion of safety will return. You're so focused on the silence that you almost miss it. A sound, faint but distinct, singing. The same voice from earlier, the woman's voice, high and clear, carrying through the still air. But now it's coming from a different direction. Not the forest, the village. She's in the village. You move to the wall, pressing your ear against the paper screen, listening. The song is wordless, just a melody, rising and falling in those same strange intervals. It's moving through the village, growing louder, then softer, as if the singer is walking between the houses. You imagine her out there, pale in the darkness, moving between the dwellings, peering at shuttered windows, looking for... what? For someone to let her in? For someone foolish or kind enough to open their door? The song moves closer to your house, closer, until it seems like she's just outside again. You hold your breath. The singing circles your house once, twice. Then it moves on, fading into the distance, heading toward the forest. You exhale slowly. It. Whatever she is, she's leaving, going back to wherever she came from. The thought should be comforting. Somehow, it's not. Minutes pass. The singing fades completely, swallowed by distance and darkness. You return to your spot by the fire, but you don't sit. You're too restless now, too keyed up. Instead, you pace. 3 steps, 1 direction, turn, 3 steps back. The room is too small for proper pacing, but the movement helps, gets your blood flowing, helps you think. What was that thing? What did it want? The stories offer many possibilities. Hungry ghosts seeking warmth and life force, demons testing the faith and resolve of humans, spirits of the dead, unable to move on, drawn to the living out of loneliness or malice. Or, and this is somehow the most disturbing possibility, nothing supernatural at all. Just a human woman, mentally disturbed, wandering the night for reasons you'll never understand. Which explanation is worse? A supernatural entity at least operates by rules. Spiritual rules, folkloric logic. You can protect yourself with prayers, with salt, with sacred objects. But a human? An unpredictable, irrational human? There are no charms against that. The lamp flickers. The oil is low again. You check the level in the jar. Maybe enough for 1 more refill. After that, you'll have to rely solely on the fire for light. But that should be enough. Dawn is close now. You're sure of it. You refill the lamp 1 last time, carefully pouring the last of the oil. The flame steadies, burns bright. This small light has kept you company all night. Faithful. Constant. You feel an absurd gratitude toward it, as if it's a living thing, a friend, which in a way it is. Fire is alive after all. It breathes. It feeds. It dies if not tended. Thank you, you whisper to the flame. It flickers, as if acknowledging the words. You're exhausted now. The adrenaline that kept you alert for hours is fading, leaving behind a bone-deep weariness. Your eyes are dry and scratchy. Your body aches. Your mind feels slow, muddy. But you can't sleep. Not yet. Just a little longer. Gradually, almost imperceptibly, the quality of the darkness begins to change. It's still black outside, still night. But there's a subtle shift, a thinning, as if the darkness is becoming less solid, less absolute. Pre-dawn, the hour when night finally loosens its grip. You move to the eastern wall, the one that faces the direction of the sunrise, and press your ear against it. Nothing yet, no birdsong, no sounds of the village waking, but it's coming. You can feel it. You return to the fire and sit down 1 last time. Your vigil is almost over. The night has been long, strange, frightening at times, but you survived it. Alone, with nothing but thin walls and a small fire, you held the darkness at bay. There's pride in that. A quiet, personal pride. You didn't open the door. You didn't give in to fear or curiosity. You trusted your instincts, honoured the old warnings, and protected yourself. And now, the reward. Dawn. The first bird begins singing, a single voice, tentative, testing the air. Then another joins it, and another. Within minutes, the pre-dawn chorus is building. That cacophony of bird calls that signals the approaching sun. It's the most beautiful sound you've ever heard. You stand and move to the door. Place your hand on the latch. Not yet. Wait just a little longer. The sky beyond the walls is still dark, but it's no longer black. It's deep blue now. The blue of very early morning. Soon it will be purple, then pink, then gold. You wait. Watch the lamp flame. Listen to the birds. And then, there. Through the cracks in the shutters you see it. Light. Pale grey light. The first hint of dawn. You unlatch the door and slide it open slowly. The cool morning air rushes in, fresh and clean. You step outside, barefoot on the cold earth. The sky is brightening rapidly now. The stars are fading. The horizon is blushing pink. The village is still quiet, but you can see smoke beginning to rise from other houses as people wake and light their fires. Everything is normal. Ordinary. The same as it always is. No sign of the woman, no footprints. No evidence that anything unusual happened at all. Just a torn shoji screen, which could have been damaged by anything. Wind, an animal, accident. You stand there, breathing the morning air, watching the sun climb slowly into the sky. The night is over. You survived. And now, life continues. There's work to do, fields to tend, routines to maintain. But first, you'll make tea. Hot, bitter green tea to wake yourself up. And then you'll repair that screen, and then you'll work, and tonight when darkness falls again, you'll light your fire, prepare your meal, and face whatever comes, because this is life in feudal Japan. This is survival, not grand or heroic, just patient, persistent. One night at a time. Part 7. The morning after. The sun is fully above the horizon now, a pale disk climbing into a clear sky. The world is bathed in soft golden light that makes everything look clean and new. You stand in your doorway for a long moment, just looking. At the village, at the rice paddies, at the forest in the distance, its dark mass now softened by daylight, looking harmless, almost inviting. Hard to believe you were afraid of it just hours ago. But that's the nature of darkness. It transforms everything, makes the familiar strange, turns the safe into something potentially threatening. Daylight returns perspective. You step back inside and survey your small house, the torn shoji screen, the banked fire, the empty oil lamp, the rumpled futon you never actually slept in, evidence of a long night. First things first, tea. You revive the fire, adding fresh kindling until it's burning steadily. Then you fill a small pot with water from the bucket and set it over the flames. While the water heats, you retrieve your tea leaves. Rough, green tea, bitter and earthy. Not the refined stuff wealthy people drink, but good enough. It will wake you up, clear your head. The water begins to steam, then bubble. You add a pinch of tea leaves and watch them swirl in the current, slowly unfurling, releasing their colour and flavour. When it's ready, you pour the tea into a small ceramic cup. No ceremony, no ritual, just practical morning tea. You wrap your cold hands around the cup, feeling the heat seep into your fingers. Then you raise it to your lips and drink. Bitter, hot, perfect. The warmth spreads through your chest, down into your stomach. You feel more alert almost immediately. You drink the entire cup, then pour another. As you sip your second cup, you hear sounds from outside. The village is waking up, a door sliding open. Voices, a mother calling to her children, the rhythmic thud of someone pounding rice, the splash of water being thrown onto the ground. Normal sounds, morning sounds. You feel a wave of relief so strong it's almost overwhelming. Life continues. The world didn't end. The night released its grip, and now everyone is going about their business as if nothing happened. Maybe nothing did happen for them. Maybe you were the only one visited by the woman who wasn't a woman. Or maybe others heard her too, but like you, they stayed inside, stayed safe. You'll never know. It's not something you can ask about directly. That would be admitting fear, admitting belief in things that proper rational people aren't supposed to believe in. So everyone will keep their experiences to themselves, and the night will slip into memory, becoming just another story that may or may not be true. You finish your tea and set the cup aside. Time to assess the damage to the shoji screen. In the full light of morning, the tear looks less ominous. It's still deliberate. That much is clear. The edges are too clean, too purposeful to be accidental. But it's also just a hole in paper. Repairable. You have spare paper in your storage chest. Thin sheets made from mulberry bark, the same as all shoji screens. You retrieve a piece, along with a small pot of paste made from rice flour and water. The repair work is simple, but requires patience. First, you carefully remove the damaged section of paper, peeling it away from the wooden frame. Then you cut a new piece to size, brush paste onto the frame and carefully press the new paper into place. It takes maybe 15 minutes. When you're done, the screen looks almost as good as new. The patch is slightly visible. The new paper is a bit brighter than the old, but it's functional. Another small victory. Your next task. Breakfast. Your stomach is growling, empty after the long night. You measure out rice and begin the familiar process. Rinse, drain, rinse again. Add fresh water. Set the pot on the fire. While the rice cooks, you step outside to check on things. The morning is cool but pleasant. The air smells fresh, with that particular scent that comes after a windy night, clean and slightly sharp. You walk around the perimeter of your house looking for... what? Footprints? Signs of the visitor? There's nothing. The earth around your house is packed hard from years of foot traffic. If someone walked here last night, they left no trace. You check the shutters, the walls, the roof. Everything is intact. Everything is normal. It's as if the entire encounter was a dream. Except for the torn screen, of course. and the exhaustion in your bones, and the memory vivid and clear of that voice asking to be let in. The rice is ready. You prepare a simple breakfast. Rice, some leftover pickled vegetables, more tea. You eat sitting outside on the step of your house, watching the village come alive. Children emerge from houses running and playing. Adults head toward the fields carrying tools. An old woman walks past, bent nearly double, carrying a bundle of firewood on her back. She nods to you as she passes. You nod back. No words. Just the simple acknowledgement of shared existence. It's enough. After breakfast, you should work. The irrigation channel still needs clearing. There are weeds to pull. Always weeds to pull. But you're so tired. Your body is heavy. Your eyes keep wanting to close. You decide to allow yourself a small indulgence. A nap. Just an hour or two to recover from the sleepless night. You go back inside, unroll your futon again and lie down. This time, sleep comes quickly. Almost immediately you're falling into darkness. But it's a different darkness than the night. This darkness is soft, safe, restful. You dream, but you don't remember what about. Nothing frightening, nothing memorable. Just the formless, gentle dreams of deep, exhausted sleep. You wake to bright midday light streaming through the shoji screens. Disoriented at first. It takes a moment to remember where you are, what day it is. Then it comes back. The night, the visitor, the long vigil. You sit up slowly, rubbing your face. You feel better. Not fully rested, that would take days, but functional. The sun is high. You've slept for several hours apparently, longer than you intended, but that's okay. There's no one here to judge you, no schedule to keep except the one you set for yourself. You stand, stretch, and go outside to splash water on your face. The day is warm now, almost hot. The sky is cloudless, brilliant blue. It's hard to reconcile this bright, cheerful day with the dark, frightening night that preceded it. They feel like different worlds, and in a way they are. You spend the afternoon working. Not in the fields, you're still too tired for heavy labour, but there are always smaller tasks to do around the house. You sweep the floor, wash your dishes properly, organise your storage area. Small manageable tasks that don't require much thought. The physical activity is meditative. Your hands move, your mind drifts. You think about the night, about fear and courage, about the choices we make when we're alone and uncertain. You're proud of yourself for not opening that door. It would have been easier, in some ways. Easier to believe the best of people, to assume the visitor was genuinely in need. But easier isn't always right. Sometimes survival requires hardness, requires saying no, requires trusting the old warnings even when they seem irrational. You'd rather be thought cruel than dead. As the afternoon wears on, you begin preparing for evening, gathering firewood, checking your water supply, planning your evening meal. The routines are comforting, they give structure to the formless hours. They make you feel competent, in control. Night will come again, of course. It always does. But tonight your family will still be away. You'll be alone again. The thought doesn't frighten you as much as it might have yesterday. You've proven to yourself that you can handle it, that you can survive the darkness. And if the woman returns, if she knocks again, sings again, asks again to be let in, you know what you'll do. Nothing. You'll sit by your fire, tend your light, and wait for dawn. Because that's what survival is. Not heroic action, not dramatic gestures, just persistence, patience, the quiet refusal to give in. The sun begins its descent. The light turns golden, then orange. Long shadows stretch across the village. You light your fire early tonight. You want it strong and steady before darkness falls. As you watch the flames catch and grow, you feel a sense of calm, of readiness. Whatever the night brings, you'll face it. One careful breath at a time. Part 8. The second night. Twilight again. The same soft fading of light. The same cooling of the air. The same sounds of the village settling in. But tonight, you're not anxious. You're prepared. You've eaten your evening meal, more rice, some miso soup, a few pickled radishes. Simple but sufficient. You've stoked the fire high. You've filled the lamp with fresh oil. You've checked all the screens, making sure there are no gaps, no weaknesses. You're ready. Darkness falls. The transition from day to night seems faster tonight. Or maybe you're just more aware of it. One moment, there's still a glow on the horizon. The next, it's gone, swallowed by black. You sit by the fire, hands resting on your knees, breathing steadily. waiting. Will she come again? The woman who isn't a woman? You don't know. Maybe last night was a one-time thing. Maybe she's moved on to other villages, other houses, other potential victims. Or maybe she'll return, drawn back to the one place where she was denied entry. Unfinished business. You'll find out soon enough. The first few hours pass quietly. No knocking, no singing, no scratching at the walls. Just the normal sounds of night. Wind in the trees, distant dogs barking, the crackle of your fire. You begin to relax slightly. Maybe she's not coming. Maybe you're safe tonight. Then, there. Faint but unmistakable. Singing. The same voice. The same strange wordless melody. But this time, it's different. She's not in the forest or the village. She's on the road, coming from the direction your family went, coming from the direction they'll return from. Your blood runs cold. The singing grows louder, closer. You stand, moving to the wall, listening. She's definitely on the road, moving through the darkness, heading toward the village, heading toward your house. You grip your bamboo stick tighter. It's still not much of a weapon, but it's something, a focus for your determination. The singing stops. Silence. Then, footsteps. On the path leading to your door. She's here. The knock comes almost immediately. Tap, tap, tap. Hello? The voice is different tonight. Younger, sweeter. Please, I'm looking for my family. Have you seen them? I've been walking for so long. I'm so tired. You don't answer. The knock comes again. Please. I know someone is in there. I can see the light. Just tell me if you've seen my family. A woman and 2 children. They were heading to this village. Please. Your heart aches. The voice sounds so genuine. So desperate. What if it's real this time? What if this is a different person, actually in need? What if your family encountered her on the road? What if they helped her, and now she's looking for them? But then you remember the torn screen, the wrong laugh, the way the voice shifted from pleading to threatening. This is the same thing, just a different approach. I cannot help you, you say firmly, loud enough to be heard through the door. You should go to the headman's house. It's the largest one in the centre of the village. He can help you. Silence, then. But I want your help, specifically yours. The voice has changed again. Flatter, less human. No, you say simply. A long pause. You're very stubborn, the voice says, and now there's something like admiration in it. Most people would have opened the door by now, out of kindness, or curiosity, or fear, but not you. You don't respond. Why? The voice asks. Why won't you let me in? Because I don't trust you, you say, and I don't have to explain myself to you. This is my house. You're not welcome. Leave. Another pause. Then, laughter, clear and bright and definitely not human. Very well, the voice says. I'll leave, for tonight. But I'll remember you. I'll remember this house. And someday when you're weak, when you're sick, when you're dying, I'll come back. And then you'll let me in. The footsteps move away, not quickly, slowly, deliberately, making sure you hear every step. Then they fade completely. You stand there, stick in hand, breathing hard. That was a threat. A clear, unambiguous threat. But it was also an admission of defeat. She's leaving. You won. For now. The rest of the night passes without incident. No more singing, no more knocking, just silence. But you don't sleep. Can't sleep. The encounter has left you too keyed up. Instead, you sit by the fire and think. About the nature of whatever that thing is. About why it wants to come inside, what it would do if you let it in. The stories offer hints. Spirits need permission to cross certain thresholds. They need to be invited. Once inside, they can drain your life force, possess you, drive you mad, or simply kill you. But they need that invitation, that permission. As long as you don't give it, you're safe. It's a simple rule, but it works. Dawn comes eventually, as it always does. The sky lightens, the birds sing, the village wakes. You open your door and step outside, exhausted, but alive. Another night survived. Part 9. Waiting. The days that follow take on a strange quality. Normal on the surface. But underneath, a current of wariness runs through everything you do. You work in the fields, but you find yourself glancing at the tree line more often than usual, watching for movement, listening for sounds that don't belong. You repair the irrigation channel, your hands working automatically while your mind replays the encounters, the voice, the scratching, the threat. Someday, when you're weak, when you're sick, when you're dying, I'll come back. The words loop in your head like a mantra, a curse, a promise. But life doesn't stop for fear. The rice needs tending. The weeds keep growing. Your body needs food, water, rest. So you continue. One day at a time. On the third night alone, she doesn't come at all. You sit by your fire, prepared for another siege, but nothing happens. Just an ordinary night. Quiet, uneventful, almost disappointing in a way. The anticipation is exhausting. You sleep for a few hours that night, though lightly. Every sound jerks you awake. Your heart pounding, hand reaching for the stick, only to realise it's just the wind, just the house settling, just nothing. By morning, you're almost more tired than if you'd stayed awake. The fourth day, you go to the village well in the morning, not because you need water, you've been drawing from your own well, but because you need to see people, need to be reminded that you're not completely alone, that other humans exist, that the world is bigger than your small house and the darkness that surrounds it. At the well, you encounter your neighbour, Tanaka. He's older than you by a decade, with a weathered face and bent back from years of labour. "Good morning," he says, nodding as he pulls his bucket up. "Good morning," you reply. A pause. He's looking at you with an expression you can't quite read. Curiosity, concern. "Your family is still away?" he asks. "Yes. They should return tomorrow or the day after." He nods slowly. "You've been alone then, these past few nights?" "Yes." Another pause. Longer this time. "Have you noticed anything unusual?" he asks carefully. "At night?" Your pulse quickens. Like what? He glances around, making sure no one else is close enough to hear. "Singing. A woman's voice. In the darkness. So you weren't the only one." "Yes," you admit. "I've heard it." He looks relieved, as if he'd been afraid you'd deny it. Afraid he was going mad. "My wife heard it 2 nights ago," he says quietly. "Outside our house. Asking to come in. We didn't answer. Pretended to be asleep." He pauses. "Was that wrong? Should we have helped?" "No," you say firmly. "You did the right thing." "How do you know?" "Because I answered once. Through the door. And the voice changed. It wasn't right. Wasn't human." He nods slowly, as if this confirmed something he'd suspected. "The old stories," he murmurs. "Yes. My grandmother used to tell stories. About kitsune, yuki-onna. Things that pretend to be people but aren't." He looks at you. "I always thought they were just stories." "Maybe they were," you say. "Or maybe some stories exist because they're true." He considers this. "Do you think it will come back?" "I don't know." "Well," he lifts his bucket. "Stay safe. Don't open your door to anyone. You don't know, even if they sound like they need help." "I won't." He starts to walk away, then stops and turns back. "When your family returns, you might not want to tell them about the voice. It will only frighten them." You nod. "I thought the same thing." "Good." He nods once more, then walks away, water sloshing in his bucket. The conversation stays with you all day. The relief of knowing you weren't the only one. The confirmation that your instincts were correct. But also the fear. Because if it visited multiple houses, that means it's not targeting you specifically. It's hunting. Searching for someone, anyone, who will let it in. How many houses did it try? How many people heard that voice and had to decide whether to answer? And has anyone said yes? Has anyone opened their door? You don't know, and you're not sure you want to know. That night, you're fourth alone, you're extra vigilant. You build the fire higher than necessary. You keep the lamp burning brightly. You sit with your back to the wall, facing the door, stick across your lap. Waiting. Hours pass. Midnight comes and goes. Nothing. Maybe she's moved on to another village. Maybe she found someone who let her in and she's satisfied. Maybe she's just gone. You want to believe that, but you don't. Not really. Things like this don't just disappear. They wait. They're patient. More patient than humans can ever be. You think about what Tanaka said, about not telling your family. He's probably right. What would you say? That a woman, or something pretending to be a woman, knocked on your door and you refused to help her, that you've been sitting awake all night afraid of singing in the darkness, they'd think you were losing your mind, or they'd be frightened themselves, and what good would that do? Better to keep it to yourself. Better to let them think everything was normal while they were gone. Just another few days of ordinary rural life. Nothing to worry about. You can carry this burden alone. You've proven that. The hour before dawn is the hardest. You're exhausted. Your vigilance wearing thin. Your eyes keep wanting to close. Your head keeps nodding forward. But you force yourself awake. Splash water on your face. Stand up and pace. Just a little longer. Just until sunrise. You can do this. Dawn breaks clear and cold. The sun rises into a pale sky, and with it comes the familiar sounds of morning. Roosters crowing, doors opening, life resuming. You step outside and breathe deeply. The air is crisp, almost sharp in your lungs. 4 nights. You've survived 4 nights alone. Tomorrow, or perhaps the day after, your family will return, and then you won't be alone anymore. The thought fills you with relief so profound it's almost painful. You're strong. You've proven that. But even the strong need companionship, need the comfort of familiar voices, need to remember that they're part of something larger than themselves. Soon, very soon, you just have to make it through 1 or 2 more nights. Part 10. The Return. The 5th day dawns with unexpected warmth. The sun rises into a cloudless sky, and by mid-morning the air is almost hot. A last gift from autumn before winter arrives. You work in the fields, checking the rice. It's doing well. The stalks are tall and green, the grain is forming properly. Barring disaster, the harvest should be good this year. The physical labour is grounding. Your hands in the soil, the sun on your back, the simple, tangible reality of growing things. It helps push away the strangeness of the past few nights. Makes them feel distant, almost dreamlike. But you don't forget. You can't forget. In the early afternoon, you're repairing a section of fence when you hear it. Voices, distant but clear. Your wife's voice, your children, they're back. You drop your tools and walk quickly toward the road, your heart suddenly light. And there they are, coming around the bend, your wife carrying a basket, your children running ahead, laughing, chasing each other. When they see you, the children scream with delight and run faster. They crash into you, wrapping their arms around your legs, both talking at once about their trip, their cousins, the things they saw and did. You kneel down and embrace them, feeling their warm, solid bodies. Alive, real, safe. Your wife approaches more slowly, smiling. "We're back," she says simply. "I see that." You stand, still holding your youngest. "How was the journey?" "Good, uneventful." She looks you over. "You look tired." "I'm fine, just didn't sleep well without you." She nods, accepting this. "Come, help me with the bags. The children are hungry and I brought rice cakes from my mother." The house feels different with them in it. Fuller, louder, alive. The children run around, rediscovering their toys, telling you about their adventures. Your wife unpacks, putting things away, chattering about her family, the gossip she heard, the gifts she received. Normal conversation, normal life. You realise how much you missed this. Not just them specifically, but this. The noise, the movement, the sense of purpose that comes from taking care of others. Solitude has its place, but this is where you belong. That evening you sit together for the evening meal. Rice, miso soup, some fish your wife's mother sent back with her. The children eat quickly, still excited, talking with their mouths full. Your wife scolds them gently, but she's smiling. She's missed them too, even though she was with them the whole time. Missed this, the family together, in their own space. After dinner, the children play for a while, then begin to get drowsy. Your wife puts them to bed, singing a soft lullaby you've heard 1,000 times. You tend the fire, banking it for the night. When she returns, she sits beside you, close enough that your shoulders touch. "It's good to be home," she says quietly. "It's good to have you home." "Did anything happen while we were gone?" You consider the question. The truth hovers on your tongue. A woman came. She knocked on our door. She asked to be let in. I refused. She tore our screen. She threatened me. She might come back. But what good would it do to say this? Your wife would be frightened. She'd worry every time you left her alone. She'd see threats in every shadow. And the children, they'd have nightmares. They'd be afraid of their own house. No, Tanaka was right. Some burdens are meant to be carried alone. Nothing important, you say, just the usual: work, sleep, quiet. She nods, satisfied. Good. That night, lying on your futon with your family sleeping nearby, you feel safe for the first time in days, not because the walls are any stronger, not because the threat has diminished, but because you're not alone. If something comes tonight, you'll face it together, and somehow that makes all the difference. But nothing comes. The night passes peacefully. No singing, no knocking, no scratching at the walls, just the normal sounds of a family sleeping, gentle breathing, the occasional murmur from one of the children dreaming. You sleep deeply without fear and wake to sunlight and the sound of your wife starting the morning fire. Part 11. Days pass. Life returns to normal, or what passes for normal in feudal Japan. You work in the fields during the day, come home to meals prepared by your wife, play with your children in the evening, sleep beside your family at night. The nights of terror fade into memory, not forgotten, but distant, like something that happened to someone else. Days turn into weeks. Weeks blur together. The rice grows taller. The air grows colder. Autumn deepens, heading toward winter. You never tell your family about the woman, about the nights alone, about the fear that gripped you, and she never returns, at least not to your house. But you hear stories, whispered at the well, murmured in the fields, discussed in careful, oblique terms that never quite name what they're talking about. Other villages have had visitors too, women appearing at night, asking to be let in, singing strange songs. Most people like you turned them away, refused to answer, stayed safe, but not everyone. In a village 3 days' walk from here, an old man, living alone after his wife died, opened his door to a woman claiming to be lost. In the morning, his neighbours found him dead. No marks on his body, no signs of violence. He simply stopped living. The story spreads, growing in the telling. Was it a natural death, coincidentally timed, or was it something else? No one knows. But no one's taking chances anymore. Doors stay locked at night. Strangers are viewed with suspicion. The old rules, the old warnings, are remembered and honoured. Don't invite unknowns into your home after dark. Don't trust voices in the night. Don't open your door to anyone you can't see clearly. These aren't just superstitions. They're survival strategies, passed down through generations, encoded in folklore because that's how knowledge survives when most people can't read or write. The stories aren't just entertainment. They're lessons, maps of danger, warnings that say, this is real, this is possible, be careful. Winter arrives in earnest. The rice is harvested, a good yield as you'd hoped. The tax collector comes and takes his share. What's left should be enough to see your family through the cold months. You prepare for winter the way everyone does, gathering firewood, repairing the house, making sure there are no gaps in the walls where cold air can seep in. Your torn shoji screen has been replaced completely now, the patch upgraded to a full new panel. No reminder remains of that night, except in your memory. On the longest night of the year, the winter solstice, you stay awake late, tending the fire. This is a dangerous night, according to tradition. The barrier between the world of the living and the world of spirits is thinnest when darkness is longest. Your wife and children are asleep, warm under their quilts. You sit alone by the hearth, watching the flames, listening. But nothing comes, just wind, just the normal sounds of a winter night. You're grateful for the quiet, for the ordinary danger of cold rather than the extraordinary danger of whatever that thing was. By dawn, you're exhausted but content. Another winter solstice survived. Another turning point passed. The days will start getting longer now. Spring will come eventually. Life will continue. Part 12. Reflection. Years pass. Your children grow. Your wife's hair begins to show grey. Your own back grows stiffer from the endless work. Life in feudal Japan is hard, but it's your life. The only one you have. Sometimes late at night when you can't sleep, you think about those nights alone, about the woman who wasn't a woman, about the choice you made. You wonder what would have happened if you'd opened the door. Would you have died, like the old man in the neighbouring village? Would you have been possessed, driven mad? Or would it have been nothing? Just a woman, genuinely lost, genuinely in need, who you turned away out of superstition and fear. You'll never know. And that uncertainty is something you've learned to live with. Because that's what survival often comes down to. Making choices with incomplete information. Trusting your instincts even when you can't explain them rationally. Living with the consequences, whatever they are. Your children, when they're old enough, hear the same stories you heard as a child. Stories about yokai, about spirits, about things that go bump in the night. They listen wide-eyed, half-believing, half-skeptical, and you let them listen. Because these stories serve a purpose. They teach caution. They teach that not everything is what it seems. They teach that sometimes the appropriate response to a stranger in the night is simply, no. These lessons might save their lives someday, just as they saved yours. One evening, many years after those strange nights, you're sitting with your family around the hearth. Your children are teenagers now, almost adults. Your wife is mending clothes. You're sharpening a knife. The fire crackles. The wind howls outside. Winter again, always returning. Your eldest, your daughter, looks up from the sock she's darning. "Father," she says, "have you ever seen a yokai?" The question hangs in the warm air. Your wife glances at you, curious. After all these years together, there are still things she doesn't know about you. You consider the question carefully, how to answer, what truth to tell. "I don't know," you say finally. "I've seen things I couldn't explain, heard things that didn't make sense. But were they yokai, or just ordinary things that seemed strange in the darkness?" "What kinds of things?" your son asks, leaning forward. You meet your wife's eyes. She's waiting to hear this too, so you tell them, not everything, but enough. About the nights you spent alone, about the woman who knocked on the door, about the singing in the darkness, about the choice you made to stay inside, to refuse entry, to trust your fear. They listen in silence, even your wife hearing it for the first time. When you finish, no one speaks for a long moment. Then your daughter asks, "Do you think it was real?" "Does it matter?" you reply. "Real or not, I'm still here, still alive. If I'd opened that door, maybe I wouldn't be. That's what matters. The choice I made and the fact that it kept me safe." Your son nods slowly. So when you're alone at night and something asks to come in, you say no, you finish. Always. Your wife reaches over and squeezes your hand. A small gesture, but it says everything. "I understand now. I'm glad you made the choice you made. I'm glad you're still here." And you squeeze back. "Me too." The fire burns low. The family prepares for bed. You bank the coals, check the door, make sure everything is secure. The same rituals you've performed thousands of times, comforting in their repetition. You lie down beside your wife. Your children are in their sleeping area, whispering to each other. Probably about the story you just told. They'll tell it to their children someday, and it will join all the other stories, all the other warnings, all the accumulated wisdom of people who survived by being careful. That's your legacy. Not wealth or fame or anything written down, just survival, just the knowledge that you were here, you faced darkness, and you lived, and you taught your children to do the same. Epilogue. The nature of darkness, so. You've journeyed through a night in feudal Japan. Several nights, actually. You've felt the fear, the isolation, the terrible weight of being alone in the darkness with nothing but thin walls between you and whatever waits outside. Was the woman real? Was she supernatural? We'll never know. Just like our protagonist will never know. And that's the point. The fear isn't about knowing for certain that monsters exist. The fear is about not knowing, about the possibility, about the fact that the world contains mysteries we can't explain, dangers we can't predict, and choices we have to make without complete information. In feudal Japan, this uncertainty was everywhere. The darkness was absolute. There were no streetlights, no flashlights, no way to push back the night except with small, vulnerable flames. And in that darkness, anything was possible. Every sound could be a threat. Every shadow could be hiding something. Every knock on the door could be your last mistake. So people developed strategies, rules, stories that codified those rules and passed them down through generations. Don't answer knocks at night. Don't trust strangers. Don't venture into the forest after dark. Don't look directly at things you can't explain. These rules weren't arbitrary. They were based on collective experience, on the accumulated wisdom of people who survived, and the cautionary tales of those who didn't. Were all the threats real? Probably not. Some were surely just natural phenomena, misunderstood in the absence of scientific knowledge. Animals mistaken for demons, illness attributed to curses, coincidence seen as supernatural intervention. But some might have been real in the sense that the threat was genuine, even if the source was human rather than supernatural. Bandits, murderers, people with bad intentions taking advantage of the darkness and isolation to prey on the vulnerable. In that context, refusing to open your door to strangers wasn't superstition. It was common sense. And if some stories about yokai and spirits helped reinforce that common sense, all the better. Fear can be a tool, a teacher, a survival mechanism that keeps us alert to danger and cautious in uncertainty. The trick is learning when to listen to it and when to ignore it. Our protagonist learned to listen. He survived because he trusted his instincts, even when they couldn't be rationally justified. He spent those nights alone, vigilant, refusing to give in to the temptation of companionship or the guilt of not helping someone who might have needed it. It wasn't heroic, it was just practical. And sometimes, survival isn't about heroism, it's about making the hard choice, the cautious choice, the choice that keeps you alive even if it doesn't make you feel good about yourself. That's the real lesson here. Not that supernatural beings exist and will kill you if you're not careful, but that the world is uncertain, that danger can wear friendly faces, that sometimes the right choice is to trust your fear and stay behind your locked door, even if you never know for certain whether you are truly in danger. Better safe than sorry. Better alive than right. In our modern world, we've pushed back the darkness. We have electric lights that banish shadows. We have locks on our doors, real locks, not just wooden latches. We have phones to call for help. We have knowledge that explains away most mysteries, but the fundamental uncertainty remains. We still don't know what's on the other side of our doors at night. We still have to make choices based on incomplete information. We still have to balance compassion against caution, kindness against self-preservation. The darkness may be less literal now, but it's still there, and the old lessons still apply. Trust your instincts. Be cautious with strangers. Don't invite unknown things into your space, whether that's your home, your mind, or your life. These aren't superstitions, they're wisdom. Wisdom earned through centuries of human experience. Wisdom encoded in stories because that's how it survives. So tonight, as you lie in your comfortable bed with your locks and lights and all the modern conveniences that make you feel safe, remember our protagonist. Remember him sitting by his small fire, alone in the darkness, making the hard choice. Remember that survival isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just persistent, patient, quiet, one night at a time, one careful choice at a time, refusing to open the door when something knocks, trusting the old warnings even when you don't fully understand them, waiting for dawn because dawn always comes, eventually. And with that, our journey through feudal Japan comes to an end. Thank you for staying with me through the darkness, through the uncertainty, through the long, slow hours of waiting. I hope you found some peace in the rhythm of it, some calm in the repetition, some comfort in the simple act of surviving. If you enjoyed this journey, leave a like. Subscribe for more quiet explorations of history's dark corners, and let me know in the comments where you are, what time it is, and whether you made it all the way through. Until next time, stay safe, lock your doors, trust your instincts, and remember, when something knocks in the night and you can't see who it is, you don't have to answer. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is nothing at all. Sweet dreams, night wanderers, or, if you're still awake, may the darkness be kind to you. This is Sleepless Survivors signing off. Until we meet again in the quiet hours.